founded semi-independent states, but continued to maintain some contact with the Mughals, sometimes looking for approval. Then we come to those states which were anti-Mughal. In this anti-Mughal state, the most important and the most powerful was Maharashtra. Maharashtra's origin, or the origin of the leaders, could be seen in their jamindaris. They were the jamindars of the area, and therefore their outlook to a certain extent had remained confined to the outlook of a jamindar, but at the same time they were trying to formulate an empire covering entire North India and the Deccan. As a result, they had conflicts with the Mughals. They had later conflicts with the English, which proved fatal to them, and they had continuous conflict with the Nizam of Hyderabad. Nizam of Hyderabad actually belonged to the first group, but the documents are very meager. So therefore it is very difficult to say anything on the Nizam, and that's why it has been more or less omitted. But it remained a sort of a semi-independent state throughout. Sometimes against the Marathas, later against the Tipu Sultan of Mysore, but always for the English. Now in case of Maharashtra, the principal revenue comes from their internal taxation. But in this internal taxation, there are different complications. There were peasants who had hereditary lands, there are peasants who do not have hereditary lands but had to pay taxes. One of the attempts of the Peshwas to see that these peasants who do not have hereditary lands should pay little, or rather to help these peasants. This did not always come out in reality, but the fact remains that the Marathas, they have their own system of jaigis, hereditary jaigis called saranjam. They had the right, they claim, of levying two taxes, Chauth and Sardeshmukhi, which they levied from the late 17th century of Shivaji's period. They had also what is known as Mulkgiri, the expansion outside and the plunder outside. So as a state, it had certain contradictory functions. On the one hand, trying to help the peasants who do not have lands. On the other hand, they were trying to extend an empire and plundering the areas. And then again, they do not want the transfer of jaigis, this should remain. So therefore, there are different kinds of policies inherent in the system of Maharashtra's administration. Now, in this system, the principal one which came out from 1750 onwards was the formation, or rather the control